All right, everybody. We are back with a draft episode today. We welcome Mr. First and Tuna to the show. How are we doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Nico? Good to be back, man.
Yeah. So give me your first thoughts when the pick pops up last night. Ty Simpson.
We're at the watch party, and a little bit of shock because you try evaluating and you try guessing what is going to happen for our team especially in the first round. It's just so chaotic, and to watch in real time, you got massive crowd of boos behind me. My initial reaction and just everything I assumed out the window for weeks and weeks in like draft and player scouting was kind of cool to watch in real time. I'm not gonna lie, like it's an odd feeling, but it's something that we're gonna talk about in a few years as we keep Ty Simpson under a microscope. And we're always going to think back to this moment, and we have it recorded in multiple ways across multiple watch parties of how Rams reacted, that we're going to either say, hey, they were right, or damn, they were wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, my personal feelings, I like the kid, man. I crammed a lot of research last night. I like the kid. I like what he brings off the field too. I'm kind of excited of like the future for the Rams, like ignoring your thoughts on right now and win now. A future super bright on the Rams. Like they're going to be good for a lot of years, and that's kind of exciting in itself.
Yeah. My personal reaction, I was also kind of surprised out at the gate. I did a lot of work on Mekhi Lemon. Did a lot of work on, Kenyon Sadiq, some of those guys that a lot of people were projecting the Rams to go. And even before the draft, I was saying, the Rams are kind of set up in a way that they can go for a luxury pick. This is not the Raiders where they need a franchise quarterback to be available to them in the first round, or just someone that, needs to come and immediately contribute to the team. They're pretty set at most positions. What they needed, is someone that can be quality depth and that can develop into a future starter. And I think that also kind of fits the mold of what Ty Simpson is as well. He can be, quality depth that has the potential to turn into a like multi-year starter, but it's all on him to have that potential. Right now, I don't think there's any way he's ready right now. But I think when I was watching his tape last night, he does a lot of what Sean McVay's offense asks for. He has good timing. He's got a good accuracy. He can move around pretty well. I was surprised how well he was mobile. So I think, emotions aside, this is a pretty good pick setting, the future, like you said. Hopefully it's more of a Jordan Love future than it is a Mac Jones or Trey Lance kind of future.
Man, you brought it up perfectly. I'm not gonna rattle on about it too long, but some of the best quarterbacks, with Love being the most, I say, controversial on this list I'm about to drop on you. Some people think he's great, some people think he's average, but Aaron Rodgers, he was there. He was an MVP. And then what did they do the next year? They drafted Jordan Love. They have not won a Super Bowl there, but I think that's more on that current coaching staff. I think the Rams coaching staff is much better. But you think of securing the organization's future over feelings. Patrick Mahomes was drafted when wasn't necessarily needed right away. Who's another one? I guess technically Josh Allen. Like they had Tyrod Taylor. And that's coming from Dan Orlovsky, who was hitting this right on the nail the whole time, and we kind of made fun of him, and look who was right.
I mean, technically, you could even say like Tua or a Justin Herbert, where they weren't, expected to go and play instantly. They were kind of just meant to sit and develop. And Herbert was kind of just thrown into Herbert was supposed to sit behind Tyrod Taylor as well for, however long that happened. Then he got the lung punctured. So I think it just ultimately comes down to how ready do you think he is right now? I don't think he's that ready right now, but I feel like he could win a game or two over, Jimmy Garoppolo or someone that maybe isn't as polished as he is. Because I feel like he was a safe kind of quarterback pick. I was personally scouting some of the guys like Nussmeier, Klubnik, because I was like, they're definitely going to draft a quarterback. I had a feeling, I was like, they're definitely going to draft a quarterback. I just don't know if that was, first round, but I had a feeling they were going to go for a guy this year.
So we as not just media, but fans too, we do pick and choose what evidence, what evidence we hold on to of one. Usually it validates our feelings. Like for me, I kept looking for sources of hey, clearly they're going to go wide receiver. So let me find out the evidence that points to that. Yes, there has been evidence all along that they were really going to spend serious capital on a quarterback. And not just the quote a few weeks ago when McVay was on Up and Adams, where he's like, yeah, we've done our homework on Ty Simpson, and, very coach speak from Sean McVay. There's one sequence that I keep popping up in my head was when they decided to have Nate Schillhouse become the OC. It was between him and Dave Ragone. right? Dave Ragone, quarterbacks coach, slightly elevated title. But McVay said something in his presser after that decision of, we went this way partly because there's things we're going to ask Nate to be taking on this year, and there's specific things we're going to be asking Dave to take on this year. Initially, I was like, maybe they need him to do quarterback heavy stuff like a potential rookie. Did I think first round? No. But they said it early, like, hey, man, we need our quarterback coach to be in there. There's not even you can't even make the argument that, oh no, Stafford has to babysit this guy now. Well, no, like Dave's in there for a reason, because that's going to be his heavy lifting for the year to get him up to speed. And like you said, what if he beats out Stetson Bennett and he needs a spot start? Well, Patrick Mahomes showed up in his rookie season and like flashed on tape. You're like, oh, there might be something there. We could see something similar from Simpson where he flashes a lot and becomes a fan favorite very quickly in LA.
Ideally,
Unless we're up 30, unless you're up 30 in the fourth, take Stafford out of that.
Knees.
Exactly.
Ideally, we see them last week that they're so good they're locked into a spot. They can just
Lock
start
in number one
last week and see what happens, just like Patrick Mahomes, like you just said.
Lock in number one and then let the kids spin.
So we're on day 2 here. We're recording this in the morning of day 2. We have 2 picks today for the Rams, with original picks, which I was really surprised to learn, because I'm surprised we didn't get future thirds and fourths and stuff for them. So we have 2 picks at 29 in both rounds. Who are some of the guys that you think you were looking at? Obviously, the first round got thrown out the window for some of our research together, but
so again, looking at things that we know about the Rams and looking at what evidence have we ignored and what have we used to validate? What's a common trope that we make fun of the Rams for, that like that we like, oh, it might be luck, but damn, they're pretty damn good at it. It's not just finding gems late in rounds. 2 of the greatest Rams receivers to walk through the doors, like when were they drafted, Nico?
5th round.
I mean, the secret sauce. I talked to Steve Weish from NFL Network last week, and he even said outside the Rams building, and that this is a NFL reporter, not a Rams reporter, he knows Eric Yarber is the best wide receiver coach in the NFL. If Yarber told McVay, hey, you're good in first round, go get me Jeremy Bernard or go get me Dejon Stribling. If he's like, that's my guy, I'm just listening to Yarbs at that point. Do they need to trade up maybe for Jeremy Bernard in a second? Maybe, but if the plan is to just do whatever Yarb says because he knows his wide receivers, I'm looking at Puka, I'm looking at Konate, I'm looking at Cooper Kupp, I'm looking at Xavier Smith, where you can be mad about a fumbled punt, but guy's going into his 4th year. They found him at an HBCU undrafted. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and trust Eric Yarber on this one, on finding some late gems of wide receivers. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, this was something that I asked the guys about when I had the chance to interview them last summer. Was not just about you were drafted so late, like how far have you come? It's also not the draft position and their skills. It's also how the Rams develop. And so I asked a lot of them, or all of them, what are some of the ways that you felt the player development happen in this organization? Because we always hear people saying like, how did they do it? How did they find the next Puka? How did they do it? And most of the time, it's not even just like finding the guy. It's also developing the guy and tailoring your system around what they do best, and not trying to fit them into a system that doesn't work.
Go ahead.
So I think when you look at the next crop of wide receivers, you got to try to figure out, how would this guy fit in the Sean McVay offense or the Chris Shula defense? It's not really just about how good of a player they are. I think this counts for any teams, but I haven't seen a team do it better than the Rams. I don't know about you, but I think
that's exactly right. Not to cut you off completely, I apologize, but
yeah,
I want to add to that. I want to add to that because we get so fixated on first round pick, the label. It's like, okay, the Rams don't view it that way. We can on the outside talk about it and be like, oh, they could have got picks if they moved 8 spots back. 8 to 12 NFL teams thought Ty Simpson was going to go around that spot. So either you take him at 13 or you miss him at 14. There's reports out there that the Cowboys moved up 1 spot, which seems nonsensical. Why would they do that unless they knew someone right behind them was trying to move up or was going to draft a different guy? Or maybe the Rams were calling to go take Simpson. We don't know these things. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, the Rams don't value. I clicked off my additional screen. The Rams don't care about what your label is. Once you're in the building, like, you're their guy, and that's all they care about.
Yeah, no, a lot of the answers that I got was, it's just the coaching, how well the coaches adapt to their strengths, like I was saying. And I think, like, especially from Jordan Whittington, standout guy. Like, he's been the punt returner. He's been, wide receiver 3 on some days, wide receiver 2 on other days. Like, he's a guy that I think it's also the attitude of the player, because if you're not going to want to, they're going to say, hey, we need you to return punts. They want a guy that's going to go, absolutely, I'll return punts. They're not going to want a guy that's going to go, I don't know, maybe. So they want, it's also about, like you said, Ty Simpson seems like a really standout guy. I think it's also, that's another part of the draft process that they look into as well.
Absolutely. I didn't just go back and binge watch his games. I watched a few of his interviews. I saw how he interacted with his boys on that video call with some of his teammates after getting drafted. His boys love him. It's hard to lie to a football locker room, and it's hard to fake your emotions towards a guy. It seems like they love their quarterback. They love Ty Simpson. He seems like a loyal kind of guy where if the fan base can rally around him and show this dude love, I think he's the kind of quarterback that you don't just know him for like wearing the horns, but he'll like ride or die for the city, where he'll be like, no, I'm LA, like this is my city, and he will be loved through the community. Like I genuinely do think that, just the vibe I'm getting from him.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people be concerned in that regard, where it's like, I don't want this to be another Jared Goff. I don't want this to be another, Mac Jones situation. Who better to develop a quarterback than Sean McVay? Although I saw lots of things last night where they were like, he didn't look thrilled. Maybe this was more of a Les Snead pick. Like, I don't know what was going on in there, but you have to rally around your guy no matter what, I feel like.
My initial reaction, like, I would say the optics on it, the optics are weird. Like, I don't know, Sean, like, you're such a weird empath sometimes. Like, you're such a weird, like, he's a sensitive boy like I am. It's like, dude, you wear your emotions on your sleeve and we all know it. But what exactly is he frustrated with? Is he just tired from changing diapers? Were they trying to, was Ty Simpson like their number one guy? Was he like number 5? Like, was he mad because trades didn't happen? We don't know, but I have a hard time believing that Sean McVay just doesn't have a say. Like, I don't think Les Snead like went in the back room and made a phone call. It was like, yeah, draft Ty. And then Sean's like, the fuck you do? I don't think it's that at all.
No, I don't think, I don't think the GM is just like, you know what? I got this one. I'm going to draft a guy who's not going to see the field. You don't get a say in this. Like, I don't think that's how it works. I feel like there was obviously conversations. There was like, hey, if this guy's on the board, let's go and get him. I don't think, from what I've heard from people and stuff, that he probably wouldn't have made it out of the first round, because the Jets had 3 first rounders. I feel like the Jets could have picked him up. I feel like Arizona could have picked him up as well. So I feel like from the sentiments that he probably wouldn't have made it past, in those mid to later like 16 20s, like you were saying. So
did the Rams save him from his career having to go to the Jets?
I saw a lot of that too, and I was like, maybe they did. Yeah. So looking at the board right now, like I said, we got 2 later original round picks, so 29 and 29 and 3rd and 4th round, or 2nd and 3rd rounds. What are your thoughts as like position wise? We don't have to go for specific guys, unless you had a specific guy in mind that you wanted to target.
Ooh, man, you gonna let me look at my big board real quick?
Sure. Let's open it up.
Let's see. Team needs. How do I organize this by who's available? Whatever. I mean, some favorite guys that I thought were going to be gone in the first round that are still there are Colton Hood. So if the Rams do want to add to their secondary and they're feeling aggressive and they want to do something similar, like with the Ty Simpson move, and be like, hey, we're gonna move up and grab this guy because he's our guy for the future. Because I think Colton Hood is a potential multi-time Pro Bowler. Like, if you trade up and go get that guy and just make your secondary undeniable, that'd be fun. Cassius Howell. Maybe they want to add a pass rush, add a 4th one. Go get that guy very fast. Who else we got here? D'Angelo Pons. We know we met with him, and I think one that could make sense that I've seen some folks post pictures about. We know the Rams like pairing their guys with teammates from college. What if they go get Jeremy Bernard and they just go get Ty Simpson's wide receiver? Like, hey man, you're gonna be QB, you're gonna be wide receiver 3 or 4 anyways. Well, that's great. That means you're gonna work with QB2. Guess who's QB2? Ty Simpson. Stetson Bennett and or Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that's worked out pretty well for them in the past couple of years, just because, if you think about it, you have a guy like, quarterback, wide receiver that hey, I know I want to throw to him in this way, and he'll catch it in this way. So it's a lot of like chemistry in that regard. And I feel like that's transferred like pretty well for some other guys around the league that have done it, like Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, and who am I missing? Tua and Waddle. Like those are pretty good.
A big one. You're missing a big one.
Burrow,
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Future Ram, from what I'm hearing.
That's the other thing. Hey, they still got their first round next year, and in 2028, if Ty Simpson don't work out, I mean, you package him with the first, you set him out to Cincinnati.
Yeah. I don't get where that even came from, because I heard it was just people were just like, yeah, you know what? Let's go get Burrow. Like that just came out of the blue. I don't know where.
You haven't discussed this? Do you want to know my theory?
Sure, let's hear it.
Oh, it goes back. I don't know how old you are. Are you familiar with the Carson Palmer situation and how that ended in Cincinnati?
Somewhat.
Look, in broad strokes, if there's an organization that you can count on whose ownership is comfortable playing hardball with their player contracts and wanting big contracts and refusing to want to trade them, it's the Brown family. Recently, you saw it a little bit with Trey Hendrickson. You saw some like, I would say almost Jerry Jones Cowboys level PR regarding both Jamar Chase's and T. Higgins' contract and how it involved Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's extensions seem to be less dramatic because it's like, yeah, you're going to pay your quarterback. But with Carson Palmer, he wanted, I think it was his second or third contract he wanted. He eventually wanted out and he threatened retirement. And he stood on business. And it got so ugly to the point where he did end up getting shipped out to Oakland at the time, now Vegas. And at that time, Carson Palmer's looked at as a top 10 quarterback. His heyday of throwing to Chad Johnson and TJ Houshmandzadeh are some of the most high-flying dynamic offenses, like highlights you can watch of the modern era. And the Bengals let him essentially go. They traded him out the building. What's to say history doesn't repeat itself that a quarterback wearing number 9, that if he gets tired of getting sacked more than anyone else in the league, he's like, hey, I'm good. Can I go somewhere else, please? And what team is crazy enough, if they have a potential need at quarterback, to send off multiple first-round picks and say, hey, we just got a ring and everything. Our number 9 retired. We're open for business. Here's some first-round picks for Joe Burrow. Excuse me. So it's not a hard narrative to build.
Yeah. Now that you just explained that, I'm like, yeah, things are clicking. It's making sense. So, yeah, I think in the next couple of years, I wouldn't feel bad about getting another guy, even though that's why I was like, I didn't think they were going to go after someone in the first round this year, because I feel like if you look at next year, that's what they always say too, is next year is always the better year. This year is a terrible year for the draft. Because you got guys like Dante Moore, you got Darius Mensah. Who else am I missing? Arch Manning, possibly.
Arch Manning. I mean, at this point, if you take the logic is if you take Ty Simpson, like right now, you're probably out of the Arch Manning sweepstakes.
Yeah.
As a media member, I have to say, thank God. I don't want to deal with that circus. That's going to be a nightmare. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Dante Moore even. Randomly, I always forget that I see prospects before they become prospects. I was at UCLA Cal in 2023, and that was Fernando Mendoza versus Dante Moore. So it's always interesting to me when I'm like, I think I've seen him play.
That who would have thought, man? I know you pay attention to college football a little bit more than I do, but how crazy is it that Fernando Mendoza, playing behind a tough Cal team, like a rough to watch Cal team, would eventually be the number 1 overall pick in a national championship in Indiana.
I saw someone tweet out that it was like UCLA and Cal in 2023 was one of the last games of the Pac-12, and it was featuring 2 quarterbacks that were probably going to be first and second overall, but this was when Dante Moore was projected to be second. So they were saying there could be 1 and 2 overall in the draft. And it was just some random 10 o'clock Pac-12 game.
Those random college football times are so great, though, when you have a whole Saturday off just watching. I'm excited my alma mater, Sac State, is in the MAC now. So I'm excited to watch a lot of late night MACtion, like a game starting at 8:30 p.m.
Those games were started absurdly late when it was the Pac-12. At least now with the Big Ten, they start at 5 or 7. They were starting at 7 or 8:30 at night. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But a lot of the guys that went in the first round, surprisingly, were former Pac-12 guys. So they need to go and figure something out there, because you look Fernando Mendoza, both of the Utah tackles. A lot of those guys. RIP to the Pac-12.
Need to bring it back. It's a shame. It's a shame it's not there. It needs to come back.
Yeah, and who knows? Who knows what's happening with them in the future? They're adding all the state schools now, Boise State. So yeah, I think personally, when I was looking at some of the guys that were available, I really liked Jake Golday, because I heard they met with him too. So I was like, well, there might be some links there. And how would you feel about them drafting a linebacker?
I would love it. I think out of the guys that are left, I think you've got, let me take a quick look right here.
Rodriguez is still on the board. I saw people thought that he was going to be first round.
CJ Allen is still available as well. Jacob Rodriguez, Jake Galday, Josiah Trotter, Kyle Lewis, Anthony Hill. I'm going to be honest. I think there's an argument for each one of these guys. I have personal favorites because of the style of football I enjoy watching. So I have a little bit of a bias. I like Josiah Trotter. I remember watching his father play, and his father was very smart, tough. This Trotter kid, not to be confused with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in Philly. Josiah's big dude, big hitter, kind of like his dad. I also like Kyle Lewis. He's kind of like a safety linebacker hybrid. And I think if they want like a star type player, like not so much a safety, more of a linebacker to help in run fits, I think Kyle Lewis is a baller, man. There's outside the wide receiver, like we talked about earlier, there's some ballers on defense that they can end day 2 looking at like, dang, I'm excited to watch these guys rotate in on defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at a couple guys personally that I scouted before that really felt like Rams sort of fits to me.
Ooh,
and that was Arian York.
Okay.
And Cole sorry, Cole, might be butchering your name here, but Winniski. This is Tech safety.
Cole Wisniewski.
There we go. Wisniewski. Got it.
Safeties. Let me add him in there.
Yeah. Wisniewski is like a guy who, like you just said, is a sort of a star, hybrid safety linebacker that, sort of in our Quentin Lake mold can kind of fit into those positions. And I think that he was a very smart, instinctual guy. And one of the other things I noticed when they were drafting guys is they don't draft guys that are bad at tackling. I feel like if you're bad at tackling, that's one of the knocks against you. You're not an LA Ram. You want to be good football IQ, good tackling, versatile. Those are my 3 for defense. And I think that he fits that pretty well. I was looking at
tall too.
I was looking at some of the other guys like Tari and York as well. I feel like he fits that really well. And I was trying to scout some guys that, will be there in the later rounds because I knew they were going to be picking, 29 anyways.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of my guys that I would be ecstatic if they got.
It's there's a lot of good players. I would argue I'm more excited about the back end, like round 3 than I am round 2. I think because I'm not a big gambler, so it feels safe just picking someone in the 3rd round. It feels not inconsequential. But Galday, I think he kind of reminds me of Michael Hoyt his last year in LA. But better in coverage. He kind of reminds me of him a little bit. Anthony Hill has film where like he'll go a whole drive being the best player on the field. Deontay Lawson is a name no one's talking about. I like him a lot. But yeah, Torian York, I think I got worried about his size because he's 5'10", 227. Yeah. But goddamn good football player. I think I just was out on him because you have potentially Reeder if he comes back, and Sean Dolak as like a kind of build already. So I don't know if they want to mix it up and have different kinds of guys. Yeah, no, Torian York normally would be like, yeah, that's a Ram. I could see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at that, and when you watch him play, like I don't think his size impacts him that much. I didn't see anything where he just got like completely pancaked or that he was at a disadvantage because of his size. So I don't think that's that big of a deal. Usually when guys can play, what do they call it, out of their size, that it doesn't really matter if you could just play. So
true.
When you look at the linebacker room right now, what do you think is missing that maybe we can piece together what kind of guy they're going after? Do you think it's like you said, that big sort of hard-hitting guy?
I think 2 different things. I don't know what their priority is, because if their priority is to add to the secondary that star hybrid, just kind of rangy playmaker to copy Seattle's version of Eamon Worry. And that's why I say like, hey, maybe it's a Kyle Lewis. Maybe it's a more of a DB type, like a Jalen Kilgore, a D'Angelo Pons in a nickel. Like if it's someone like that, I could see them like wanting to address that. Or if their priority is, hey, we like Landman, he's more okay than he is like superstar. We need another big body to replace Omar Spates in that similar role of like, hey man, we just need a thumper. Like they know Spates' limitations now. They know his growth range. Go get a Galday. Go get a Josiah Trotter. I think there's a lot of options here. I'm unsure what their priority is. I wish I had a better answer for that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's sort of one of the positions I was looking at on the depth chart and just the defense in general was linebacker. So I was like, I think that this is probably, if you were to, analyze all of them, this is probably their weakest position. And that's nothing against Landman and Spates. I think that when you look at depth behind them, like it's not the deepest room, and all of those guys as well were undrafted except for Stewart now, I believe.
Was a third rounder.
He's the only guy that got drafted in that entire room. So I don't think that really determines, your level of skill, but when you don't have, they don't really care about the linebacker position in a sense, but when you have guys that are all undrafted, like these like sort of scrappy, guys like that, I don't think that it's when it comes down to it that they have like the most experience and level of play that can win you a championship, if that makes sense.
It does.
I feel like you need sort of like that nasty middle linebacker, like Bobby Wagner style, just to go and win you a chip, because that's just, I don't know if that's just how they play defense or what, but I feel like they haven't had that sort of crazy good linebacker since Littleton was the last like good linebacker I could think of, and he was still just like sort of good.
Hey man, I'm an Alec Ogletree believer. I love that dude. I'll ask you this question: what if? And obviously, I don't really know. I wish I knew. What if they felt the more pressing need, even more than DB or safety or linebacker, was another legitimate pass rusher, because they know not just Jared Verse, but what if they don't know if they want to give Byron Young $100 million? What if they aggressively go after Cassius Howell? What if they go after Zion Young, R. Mason Thomas, Joshua Josephs, and they just say, screw it, we'll keep it Tennessee? What if they go that way where, hey, we love what Josiah Stewart has got. We want to add another one and just rotate guys in and out, and we protect ourselves in case we can't get a contract done we like with Byron Young. What if I told you that's the way they go?
I could absolutely see that happening as well, because like I kind of said earlier, this is sort of a draft for them where they need to kind of think about, we need to target quality depth, and they need to target guys that can be quality depth as well as future starters. And just like you said, that's something that they need to look at with some of their young pass rush guys. They're not going to be able to pay all of them. There's no way. I feel like just with Cap, and they could, but I feel like it might be really tough, especially for, like you just said, a Byron Young. He might command a lot from, other teams. So I feel like you're going to have to keep at least 2 or 3 of the 4 main guys. And I feel like they're not going to want to break up Fisk and Verse. You're kind of looking, Byron Young's the odd man out, but then at the same time, he started the hottest last year. So I don't know. It's a really tough decision they're going to have to make over the next couple of years between those 4 guys.
And well, I mean, it's going to take a lot of trust, and there's going to be some hard decisions made. I think there's going to be at least one player that ends up leaving the Rams in the next year or two that the fans are just diehard lovers of, and it's going to be a tough pill for them to swallow, and they're going to have to trust that the next guy up is their next fan favorite. And that's one of the rich people problems, I think, of being a Rams fan right now, is even back to the Ty Simpson thing. I think Rams fans have almost forgotten what it's like to be in quarterback poverty purgatory. Do you not remember the Austin Davis days? Do you not just remember the recency of Brett Rippon in that Packers game? I remember vividly everything, and now you're mad that, oh no, I don't have a rookie that's going to start over any of my current starters because our team is so deep that the Rams used their second first-round pick on a potential perennial Pro Bowl quarterback after our MVP quarterback. No,
I saw Holden tweet out last night. Shout out Holden. He was like, if it came down to it that they traded 13 for Trent McDuffie, traded 29 or drafted 29 Ty Simpson, that would have been much better. And I was like, why does that feel better somehow?
Look, with 2 first-round picks, the Rams walked away with a top 5 DB, and they completely fixed a problem last year and up a future franchise QB. I don't know how to make that a bad thing. It's really hard.
I don't know. I think mostly the sentiment was from people, from what I was reading and looking at all the tweets and hate comments and stuff. The sentiment was that the Rams are in a win now year. Super Bowl's in LA. You're a win now team. The roster's built as a win now team. Ty Simpson was not the win now pick, and now he's not going to see the field for at least a whole season or 2. Why not get a guy like, Lemon or Sadiq or one of those guys that will see the season this year? That was sort of the sentiment I felt. That's not my direct feelings. I feel like that was just sort of what I was hearing from people, is that they were just upset that they weren't going to get a guy that's immediately going to come in and contribute to the offense or whatever.
And I think again, people problems of
Yeah.
the roster is actually almost damn near set. One, I got two questions in response to you. Name any rookie. What rookie can you name right now that would like start over any Rams starter? And it's like, okay, that is now we're won the Super Bowl like right now. Like
Yeah.
name any rookie, and I can argue against it. And then second part is when's the last time a rookie like himself was responsible for like taking a team and making them like, okay, cool, we're Super Bowl champs now. When's the last rookie that like did that for an organization? Like it's not a reality. Like a wide receiver 3 is not coming in and now you're winning the Super Bowl. What if Puka gets hurt? I mean, it's great that we have the rookie, but is that rookie Puka Nacua? Like,
No.
I don't. We drafted Jared Verse. You guys love the pick, and he hasn't won the Rams Super Bowl. Terrence Ferguson. I mean, he didn't really see the field till week 8 until he was consistently on the field. So we
for some reason I saw people saying like he could be a wide receiver 3. I was like, they don't really do that anymore though. Like they were moving a lot towards that 13 personnel last year, towards the end of the year, and they were just like exclusively running that instead of 3 wide receiver sets. So I was like, maybe he won't even like see the field if you get a wide receiver.
That's true. And what if they're just like, yeah, like why would I draft a wide receiver 3 as my first overall? And we're about to have to pay Puka what $40 million a year. Do I want to pay a wide receiver 3 $13 million a year, $15 million a year? Or am I going to trust, circling back again, Eric Yarber? And if he says that third guy that you can get in the 3rd round or maybe aggressively in the 2nd round, that's the guy I want because I'm going to shape him into the greatest wide receiver the Rams have ever had again. So I like all the frustrations Rams fans have right now. I get it. And I optics, I understand. I'm not ignoring them, but I think we're ignoring also just the process. You got 2 picks today. Let's see what happens.
I said this last week as well. I don't know if you caught this, but I tweeted out and I was like, the worst of the Rams' problems right now for the fan base was how the uniforms looked. Like that's the worst of their problems. And all of a sudden, they draft this guy. Like we're complaining about something that we should be so lucky to have, that we have such a great team, a great organization, that the thing people are complaining about is not the offensive line, it's not, the quarterback or what, like any other franchise right now. They're complaining about the uniforms and that they won't get to see their 1st round pick play this year. That's pretty crazy for a team.
Do you think if he was playing at USC instead, the sentiment would be different? Or UCLA?
I don't know if UCLA would be getting into the 1st round, unfortunately, because they're just not like that. But I don't know. I think that was another reason people got upset too, was like, we have the hometown kid here. There's a lot of USC and UCLA prospects still on the board that I would like for the Rams. Talked to a couple of those guys too. And I think that if you target them in the later rounds, you're certainly, like we just posted about yesterday, Jacoby Lane, not a bad pick either. Like I heard last year that he was projected last year to be a 1st rounder, and he sort of slipped because of production issues and such. But I would not hate Jacoby Lane as another wide receiver pickup as well.
He's a developmental guy where he definitely would need a summer with Yarbs for certain things when it comes to his consistency on breaking routes. His consistency, I can't remember if it was pad level or if it was just more like not getting too eager. Like he'll try to improvise a little bit more when he can stay within his structure and trusting it, but also how much of that is just USC's developmental system, how much of that is injury, like you don't really know. But if the Rams love him and they bring him in, the athletic talent is there. You should be really excited of like, if he embraces the same mentality that like Tay and Kanate and Xavier and Jordan Whittington, like all the guys that have bought into, Jacoby Lane would be scary. And you were like, oh great, another 4th round day 3 wide receiver the Rams just find and make amazing.
One thing I will say is that I'm honestly kind of excited that we have a quarterback, because usually I'm a guy who collects cards. So I love going after some of those, rookies and stuff. They usually do not make any sort of Rams cards or anything, because usually it's always like, last year they had a couple Ferguson ones out there. Like they've had Corum and Hunter, but they don't have like a high premium 1st round guy. Now they do. So I was like, now I have something to chase after in packs. That'll be fun.
I got a cool one for you that I'm about to go have like price checked, because I want to know how the value has increased compared to before last season. This is a Matthew Stafford. This was out of the Panini Black. I didn't buy the Panini Black because those things are expensive. I was able to work a trade with another Rams fan who I had the Jared Verse version of this, and he wanted that. I wanted the Matthew Stafford version of this. It is 18 out of 25 Matthew
Wow.
Stafford
That's pretty
signed
awesome.
that I just
That's
had
great.
sitting right behind
That
me.
art looks like on card too, right?
It is on card. So
Wow.
that's why
That's
I
sick.
like that a little bit more. I'm not a big card collector, but when I just see something cool that's like, hey, I want that as in my collection. I
Yeah.
saw that and was able to trade for it, and I'm
Yeah,
very happy with it.
it's I have like a Rams only collection, and then I also
Mhm.
have a like general one, and then I have ones of guys that I've personally spoken to in interview. Those are my three sort of like
That's
collections.
cool.
So I have a Matthew Stafford. The only one I'm missing is Cooper Kupp. It was like ridiculously expensive for the stretch that he was like the best wide receiver in the NFL. I bought my Puka for the first time in the fall. That thing went up because he did such an amazing job this year.
Yeah.
And now Ty Simpson is the next target for collection here. I also surprisingly I pulled out of a box a Jared Goff celebration auto. It was weird that they even made this. It's a picture of him in the bone uniforms going like this. He's going like that. He's celebrating, and it's an on card. And this was manufactured the 2 years after he left the Rams. So I was like, what are we doing, Panini? Like, how did you even get him to sign this?
Maybe they just needed to get it out of their system.
I don't know, but I thought that was a little strange. And it's one of those see-through ones too, which is pretty cool. I was dumbfounded when I opened it because I was like, is this an old pack? But yeah, I have all the guys. Like I bought Kyron before his prices went up as well because people were like, he's a third rounder from the Rams. What is that going to do? And that just goes to show you, I mean, I feel like there's probably some story out there that someone bought Puka cards before Puka even started to play and skyrocketed up in price.
The recently, I think this like last offseason, I stopped hunting because I was waiting for like the Shador Sanders stuff to come out in last season's rotation. Managed to find. I wanted to go through Sacramento State alum and find their stuff. Cool. I found Amarte Mapu of the Texans, formerly the Patriots. I found his card signed. He's got Sac State stuff on, so that was really cool. I haven't found a Jackson Slater one yet, but I also found Rams-wise Quentin Lake, UCLA signed one, and I found a Cam Kitchens signed one as well, his rookie season. So
yeah, that's the thing. The most expensive Rams card I paid for was Puka, then Stafford, then the rest of them were all $20 and under. Like
it's nice.
A lot of people are collecting Rams autographs, which is kind of a shame, but it was not hard to get a hold of pretty much the entire team. And one of my favorite ones I have actually is a Jacob Harris. 3 things. It's a football, piece of the helmet, piece of the jersey. So it's got like a piece of the helmet, which I was like, how do they even do that?
That's cool. I mean, that's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah. So I was like, player obviously didn't work out, but it is a pretty cool.
I love that.
Hopefully we don't get another one of those this weekend. I was going over some of the past years and I was like 2023 and 2022 is when, Les really started to lock in, but some of those past ones, so those hits were there, but so were the misses. Like it was mostly misses, I would say.
I don't know which one you're going to lean on more. Obviously you can go with recency bias. You just know that the potential is there that not every draft pick is going to hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you gotta have faith that like, hey man, like more times than not though, this team does bring in quality football players that in the first 3 rounds have significant value to the team immediately. You can argue Ty Simpson, like I said, is not going to see the field, but you just took care of the most important quarterback 2 position in the world. And if that's not an immediate help, then I don't know what is. Day two could be filled with more guys where they may start at times, they may rotate in.
Yeah.
If Josiah Stewart and Josiah Stewart and Terrence Ferguson are like what you can expect level players, I don't see what's wrong with that expecting today.
Yeah. I feel like when you look at the grand scheme of things, like I'm looking at the depth chart right now.
Okay.
There's no one, like you said earlier, there's no one really that is that much of a game changer that's going to start over who they have in there now. Like I didn't even realize that wide receiver 3 last year was Xavier Smith. Like I was doing charts and stuff for who led the team in 1, 2, and 3 from wide receivers, and I was like, Xavier Smith was last year. I would have guessed it was Whittington. Like I didn't really think about that much, and I was like, oh, he had a pretty good year, and he was undrafted. He was undrafted, so I was like, anything that they get in the draft is great, but where I feel like they shine even more is the undrafted guys that they turn into these like long-term starters. And that just kind of speaks to, like we were saying earlier, their development of players.
I do know for a fact, pretty good authority, that the Rams were doing extensive quarterback work all the way top down. Like, I'm talking top down, like all the way HBCU, bringing in guys that, like, are going to be deeply undrafted. Like, they're not even on, I can't even go on PFF or stick to the model and find them and do a mock draft with them. Like, that's how deep low that they're looking at quarterbacks. Yeah, trust the process, man. The team does a lot of research. Like, even if the guy's not going to start right away, if I pop up in the film and I showed you Jalen Kilgore, like, you need to tell me that freaky of an athlete can't impact the team right away and, like, add a scary element. There's guys still there that can pop on tape and look really good in horns.
Absolutely. I think that's the case any year. And when you look at the roster, I mean, I feel like half of these guys were even undrafted. Puna 4 was undrafted. Landman, it's Black, all undrafted, and who better than Sean McVay and Les Snead? And Les Snead we trust.
It's I mean, you gotta trust it. I don't know what the percentages are of, let's see, someone choose, I remember if interesting. So percentage, like, if I look at percentages by round of finding consistent starters at each position due to a Reddit post a year ago, if I look at starters, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, like, there's multiple positions that are like in the 30s and 40s of like percentage of finding mid-round guys, consistent starters in the NFL. Yeah. And I think that's like bell curve wise. I think majority of starters in the league are mid-round. Like, most first rounds flare out. I don't know what to tell people, but there's 6 more rounds of damn good football players.
I think a lot of it is expectation too, because if you're drafting a first-round guy and they have all the pageantry and all the, oh my gosh, they talk about them for the entire day. Like, because today is 2 rounds, tomorrow's 4 rounds. Yesterday was only 1 round. So you have the entire, from 4 p.m. till whenever it finishes. That's all they're talking about is, what is this guy going to do for whatever team? Like, that's all they do is they talk about that. You got Adam Schefter and all those guys just like analyzing the pick. Like, that's just the pageantry of the draft. And I think that's why a lot of teams are really upset with whoever they draft in the first round. Like, all they talk about for an entire day is that pick. But when you get to the later rounds, no one really cares, because it's like, all right, I have this guy in the first round. We just drafted, 5 other guys. I'm not going to really watch tape on them or watch the rest of it, because people are already like, I'm done. I watched the first round. That's good enough.
And it shouldn't be anything new for Rams fans, man. Like, even your franchise quarterback, like, a lot of us in the media had to fight tooth and nail for people to pay attention to. I'd argue that Matthew Stafford is the least talked about former overall first-round pick quarterback to ever exist. So this is nothing new. We get all our favorite players in day 2 and 3. And I think Rams fans, if I'm going to be very frank, I'm going to say it a lot today. I'll say it first here. I think we're witnessing Rams fans blink. I think you got to really look at the big picture and say, like, it doesn't matter, because they're going to be getting pick 32 next year anyway. So who gives a damn?
That's right. So yeah, it was so weird last year. I know we were both at camp. You went to joint practice as well. And the most thing that was talked about was not how good this team was going to be. It was not how the offense was developing. The most thing that was talked about was, oh my God, Matthew Stafford's back. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Is he going to play? Is he going to play? Like, that was talked about for weeks. And even before that last year, for those that may have forgotten, people were like, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the next quarterback of the Rams? Like, I don't even know where that came from, because he was like undecided with his destination last year. And they were like, what if he comes to the Rams and Matthew Stafford can't play? That was somehow a conversation they were having last year too. And then he has all these back issues, and all of a sudden, he comes in, plays like the MVP. Like, that was a crazy sequence of events, I think. First, you get Aaron Rodgers. Then it's Matthew Stafford is not going to play. He might miss a couple games. You might see Jimmy Garoppolo. Then all of a sudden, we're in MVP form. Like, how lucky are we? I'm going to title this episode, How Lucky Are We?
If you recall, too, I don't remember if what your sentiment was at the time. I was one of the few voices that was consistently saying, if Jimmy Garoppolo has to play the first opening month, like, because the back injury seemed to be real. I didn't get to watch Matthew Stafford at all at camp.
Yeah,
it was the Jimmy G show, and I said, if Matthew's out, Jimmy G has to play the first 4 games. The Rams go 3-1. Jimmy G in the system. It worked well. I'm a believer in the system, and like I'm going to keep that same energy. That if Matthew Stafford is in a immortal chamber again, whether it's Stetson Bennett, whether it's Ty Simpson, I'm going to trust my eyes at camp. If they're looking good, I'm going to say, hey, they'll go 2-2. They'll go 3-1. Or if they're like, hey, man, we got a problem. They're not ready.
I feel like at the minimum, Jimmy could at least win 2 games. Like I don't think he's amazing. He's amazing. Obviously, that's why he's a backup quarterback, not a starting quarterback. But I thought that he could go in there and win 2 games. But the Texans probably would have been brutal for him opening day. But I felt like he was put in a position where he could have gone in and won 2 games for them at least. And even then, like Stafford also didn't go to camp last year as well. Like he was out. No, not last year. The previous year, he also didn't throw much at camp as well. So it might just be an old quarterback thing, but hopefully we get to see him this year. I don't know.
I love that old quarterback thing. Hey, whatever he did to win an MVP, go do it again.
Like I think maybe it's just like him taking time off for the body, and he's an old guy. He got sacked a decent amount for being an old guy.
True.
He used to run a lot more too. I don't know I think it's just the age catching up to him. But I remember him when he first got here in 21, 22. Like he used to run a decent amount more than he does, and that was just for 3-yard scrambles. But that's more than he does now.
You know what happened?
Back injury.
Father time, man. Did you see him make a run? I forgot what game it was, but late in the season where he had the angle, he had time, and looked like he was going to pick up 2 yards on the sideline, and it was the longest 2 yards I've ever seen in my life, and he did not get the first down. That's what happens. He Father Time is unbeaten.
Yeah. So wrapping us up today, this is a question that I asked to all of my guests. What's something that you have learned from watching football or playing football that you think the general population could learn from?
Ooh. It is a lot more fun to appreciate players on other teams that you may not be a fan of. I love football for multiple reasons, so many reasons. I'm always telling people that I'm a fan of the sport more than I am of a team or any player because of the history and just what it's done for my life and what it can do for others. And part of that is I can look you dead in the eyes and say, I really like George Kittle's game. I think Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I'm happy for how Sam Darnold's story turned out because there's a lot more football than there is outside of Los Angeles. And I'm not gonna limit myself of appreciating and enjoying those moments of the sport and just the beauty of the game and watching great players. Like, man, I grew up watching Peyton Manning. Like in my heart, there was like, I'm a kind of a Colts fan when the sheriff is making audibles at the line, like something does something for me that I think it's a lot more fun looking at football that way of just appreciating players. Like you ain't got to be their fan like that. You got to buy their jersey, but you could say like, damn, that was a great play by that guy. That was a really fun year for so-and-so. I like that.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along so you don't miss what's coming next. New episodes are dropping at least bi-weekly with more players, draft prospects, and guess all offseason. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @FootballByNico. And if you made it this far, share the show with someone who loves LA football. Appreciate you for listening.